All right, we are live, guys. I'm here. Let me see. We're live. We got Slaughter in here. We got James and Travis. We're going over UFC Fight Night 175, Brunson versus Shahbazyan today. We're debuting the Battle of the Brands, which basically we've kind of teased it on Twitter a little bit, put some stuff out there. It's essentially going to be, we're going to go through every fight card. It's a blood, sweat, and TKOs and rambling and gambling team kind of partnership here. And we're just bringing on different guys in the UFC, gambling, and Pick'em's Twitterverse to kind of get on here and show what they know. Keeping track of scores as far as picking the winner, picking underdog, and picking the exact decision, how the fight's going to end and what round it would end in. So we're going to kind of try to keep this thing short and sweet, let you guys get multiple opinions out there at one time in a relatively short episode if we can keep it that way. We got a 10-fight card this week, so shouldn't be too tough. You guys have anything you want to say before we get started?
No, man, I just appreciate you having us on, and I look forward to the Battle of the Brands. I'm kind of here representing Talking Hands on behalf of my co-host as well, Preston Ekdahl. So we put together some picks, and hopefully we can all come out winners this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get it going, guys. All right, so first fight of the night. Let's see. We've got Chris Gutierrez versus Cody Durden. I'm going to pass it to you, Slaughter, and we're going to go clockwise here. Let everybody have their opinion. Let us know who you got in this one.
Starting with me, is that what you said, James?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So Gutierrez comes in, man. He's 29 years old. The guy's fought in some good fights. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. He's got some monster leg kicks. Pretty good stand-up. Actually, really good stand-up. Not great takedown defense, but he does scramble a lot. He likes to get up. On the other hand, we got a newcomer that's coming off a 7-fight win streak. He's making his debut, Durden. Tough-ass kid. Relentless pressure, moves forward, heavy on the top, grappling machine. So this is going to be an interesting one to start off. I'm really high on Durden, but in this particular fight, I'm just going to flip a coin and go with Gutierrez by decision. I think it's going to be a close fight.
It seems to be the safe play out there right now. And it's like, if I didn't clarify earlier, it's 3 points to choose an underdog of any amount. You've got Chris Gutierrez a minus 345 favorite, Durden a plus 275 favorite out there. So going with the safe play there to start it off, not a bad idea. James, we're talking to you. What you got?
Yeah, no, I'm literally the same as Slot. I'm probably going to go for the safe bet on this one. Obviously, with Cody, I believe at the top of my head, he's making his promotional debut. He's had a couple of fights in kickboxing and boxing, so he's a heavy striker in that sort of department. He's very well-rounded. Sort of the same goes for Chris Gutierrez, really, and I think obviously the experience in the UFC will probably pay dividends for Chris in this fight, and I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm going for Chris by second round TKO.
Nice. I like it.
I'm going to kind of say about the same thing that James said. Gutierrez looked real good last time out with his leg kicks. I think the TKO by leg kick, one of the few in the UFC. He's a big favorite. I'm going to go by a second round TKO as well. Pretty early in the round.
Yeah, I've actually been leaning that same direction. I think I've got a bet out there that's similar to that. I tried to find a reason to convince myself to put Cody Durden here. I saw some guys high on him on Twitter, but same thing. I mean, you look at the tape, especially the most recent fight. I felt like he was facing fairly stiff competition in that fight. He threw brutal leg kicks. You guys have alluded to it. He was fighting in a relatively small cage there. So I don't think the apex is going to be an issue at all as far as cage size. So, I'm with you. I'm taking Gutierrez, and I'm also taking him. I'm going to take him by a first-round KO just to be a little mix it up. So we're going on to the second fight of the night, and we're going to – obviously we'll go back. We've got evidence here, so we'll go back and make sure we've got everybody's picks correct and tally that up after each card. So second fight of the night, Jamal Emmer and Timur Valiev. You got Slaughter.
Yeah, man, this is another kind of close one to me. You got two pretty strong grapplers here. Emmers, we know, he's Very athletic, strong, powerful, good wrestler. I think besides the wrestling, I think Valiv has the upper hand in all aspects of this fight. I'm gonna go with Tamir here by decision. I think he can put enough volume. He's the a Russian wrestler who always pushes forward, has a lot of pressure, and I like that in fighters. So I'm gonna go with the favorite here by decision.
I like it. What you got, James?
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I think with Tima, I think at the top of my head, I believe he trains with Frankie Edgar, and I think he's just he's done well across various promotions. He's 16-2, and I've got back Tima on this one. And again, I'm probably going to go for a decision just because of that. It's just well-rounded versatility, and yeah, I've got back Valiev on this one.
I'll keep it real short. You almost never find me pick against a Russian or Eastern European wrestler. I think Valiev's a point wrestler, so I'm picking him by decision, unanimous decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm the same way. We're going to sound a little repetitive, I guess. I mean, if you're going to make a case for Jamal Emmers, 4-inch height advantage, 6-inch reach advantage.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing to say, but inside the Apex arena, I don't know if that does him more good or bad, especially against the style matchup you guys are talking about. You've got 83%, I guess this was about a week ago, but 83% in Tapology have Timur Blaydes by decision. So I'm honestly was leaning the same way. I just don't think Valiev got it in him to finish this thing, even if he does hold it on the cage. So Valiev by unanimous decision as well. So third fight of the night, I'm interested to see what you guys think about this one. Eric Spicely versus Marcus Perez.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good fight here. I'm on Perez all the way. I just like his fighting style, real flashy, fun. Uses some crazy techniques, fights with a lot of emotion, and man, I think he comes out here, gets the job done, round 1 KO.
Yeah, I'm backing Perez in this one as well, albeit via decision. He just sort of brings that sort of entertainment aspect to his game, and obviously you see him at weigh-ins. He's just so energetic and just brings that sort of presence to the cage. Whereas with both fighters, they're not on the best of form recently, but going into this one, I've probably got back Marcus, and I'm going Perez by decision.
Perez, I was looking at the fight before. He's better in pretty much every statistical category. I watched a little bit of his fights. I'm going to go with him, but by split decision. I think it's a lot closer than people are going to think. I think he's going to come out like weird angles. I think he can get figured out a little bit. I think he might gas out. So I'm going to say split decision.
Yeah, I think this is one that could throw people a curveball a little bit. The first thing I saw, I watched a little bit of highlights on both of them, and I thought Perez first round KO. I might be picking myself for it. I'm going to take Perez by split decision. I think Spicely's going to find a way to get it on the ground a couple of times, maybe wins a round that way. I'm going to take Perez by split decision. So, moving on to the fourth fight of the night. Another exciting one here, Ray Borg and Nate Maness. Nate Maness making his UFC debut as well.
Yeah, man, another debut guy. We've seen a lot of them over the last 2 months. They're just coming in all over the place, but as much as I know about Maness, he's a great striker, but man, we know what Borg is. He's just a straight up hardcore grappler, and his way to win is to get this to the mat and just beat the hell out of him. So I got Ray Borg probably by decision.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I think with Nate, he likes to close distance well. He likes to counter, and I think with Borg, obviously he's been around the game for a while, and even though he's 26, he's already fought for the flyweight belt against Demetrius Johnson, so he's got some experience in that department. Whereas as you touched upon earlier, Nate's making his debut in the UFC. So I've got back at the experienced lad in this one. I'm probably going to go for a Borg by decision. I think he just takes the fight to the floor for the full 15 and just grind it out.
Yeah.
Ray Borg is he's been around for a while. He's fought for the belt before, like James said. But facing a newcomer, I think he's going to try to take him down instantly. There's going to be a scramble. I think he's going to catch him in a weird choke, maybe like a Darce. I'm going to say within about a minute, I'm going to say Ray Borg by submission.
I lost connection for a second. So you told Borg by early submission?
Borg by first round submission.
Got it. Yeah, again, I wanted to lean Manis here. Man, he's actually got some nasty fast hands. But he's in the apex again. You want a 6-inch height advantage, 9-inch reach advantage. I've got him in a lotto parlay out there already. Now the pressure's on. Yeah, as a strategic decision here to try to gain some points here, I'm going to take Manis. I'm going to take Manis by TKO in the second. All right, so here's our first gamble. Fifth fight of the night. Let's see. I don't even have it up right now. Where are we at? We've got Ed Herman and Gerald Meerschaert. Combined 90 fights or so. So we've got plenty of film to study here. What do you guys think?
Man, Meerschaert, the black belt, always going for the stub. Probably a little better boxer, in my opinion. But, man, he's coming up weight, quick turnarounds. And Ed doesn't impress me that much. We know he's got pretty heavy hands, and he's rather good in submission defense. So that's something kind of interesting, because if Meerschaert can't get the submission, I don't see him winning by KO by any means. So it'd have to come down to a submission or decision. I'm taking Ed Herman. I'm rolling the dice here. I think Herman's been training a lot longer, and he's just going to be in a little bit better shape. Obviously, he's got the weight and the height and the reach. So I like Herman here.
Well, obviously, with both fighters, they come in with a lot of experience in the MMA department and the MMA game. With this one, I'm probably going to disagree with you on this one, Slaughter. I'm going to go for a Meerschaert via decision. I think with Herman, he'll struggle to sort of outwork and I think he'll find it hard to sort of finish the fight in this one and sort of out-grapple Meerschaert. I'm leaning towards the fighter with the more experience. I'm a big fan of Gerald, but I obviously admire watching him, and I think the experience is going to pay dividends in this one. I believe at the top of my head, hasn't Gerald stepped in on 2 weeks' notice to replace Daeun Young? I think at the top of my head or something like that. So even though Ed, obviously, like you said, he's been training for a lot longer, he's obviously more prepared for a fight. He's probably had the more training. So, but with Gerald, you just cannot. It would be tough to go against Gerald. Obviously, I'm going to go for a decision with Meerschaert.
It's another one of those fights where Meerschaert's a little bit better in every statistical category, but with one of the smaller cage, he being such a wrestler, he doesn't have quite as much room to operate with. I really see this being as a fight where it's a kind of a clinch game up against the cage, and I think Meerschaert wins a pretty important fight by unanimous decision.
Yeah, I could definitely see. I think that, like you said, James, it's not one that's going to necessarily be a lock in either direction. But I agree that Meerschaert's skill set probably gets in this thing by. I'm going to go with a split decision.
Yeah, and that was a tough one for me, guys, because I was leaning Meerschaert, and literally the only reason I went with Herman is because he did an interview on Pub Sports Radio. So
yeah,
man, it's like one of these fights where you gotta just roll the dice. And
you've always got to back your boy, haven't you?
yeah, exactly. So
yeah, and
I won't be surprised if Meerschaert pulls this out by any means. So yeah.
Strategically for this whole show and for this kind of contest, it's strategical to throw some underdogs in there as well. So
right,
that's definitely one that is by no means a lock in my opinion. So I don't think it's a bad one to take a gamble on. But finishing off the preliminary part, we've got an absolute fire show. Frankie Saenz and Jonathan Martinez.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a fire show. Martinez has all the things you want to look for: the hand speed, quick as hell, great striking, but he struggles with this takedown defense. And I feel like Saenz has a way to victory in the grappling department. I'm going to roll another shot here with the dog and go Saenz by decision here.
I'm probably going to go against you again on this one, Slaughter. I'm going to go for Martinez for a first round TKO. I just think he's predominantly he's a reasonably good striker. I think he's got a couple of he enjoys a couple of inches over Frankie. It's going to be a tough one to sort of back Frankie in this one. I'm leaning towards, like I said, the first round. I just think Frankie's just going to get torn apart at range, and from the get-go, I think this is obviously the more likely possibility and the more possible outcome with regards to the striking, and Martinez just with the determination to end it early, and I think he'll land a couple of shots early on, which will probably shock Frankie, and I think he'll get this one via first round TKO.
I think Martinez really roughs him up in the first round and finishes him early in the second. I'm not real high on Frankie Sainz at all. I think he finishes him early second round after damaging pretty heavy in the first.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I'm just kind of torn on the decision. I was going to say James stole my thunder there for the first round TKO. But 39 years old, I think age shows itself here. I do think he's going to get TKO. Lost his last fight to Marlon Vera on the first round as well. Last time he fought before that was May of 18, then December of 17. Yeah, I don't see a ton of losses.
I could be wrong, but I'm not sure he has a win since the Reebok deal with UFC. I think it's been a little while.
That's possible.
Yeah.
And at any given day, they're gonna lock the cage up, and those guys are gonna get after it. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm going Martinez, first round TKO. I'm gonna take him in the first. Stick with my initial decision. So, all right, brings us straight over to the main card, guys. Rolling right through, making good time. So, Kevin Holland versus Trevin Giles. What we got here?
We got the Battle of Texas here. That's what we got. The big boys come up. So, man, I'm on Holland here. I think he's got the advantage in every aspect of this fight, besides his IQ. I haven't been happy with his IQ. He makes some stupid mistakes, takes his time finishing fights. I mean, I think he gets it done this fight by second round submission.
Yeah, this should be a fun fight between obviously two guys who are heavy-handed and can literally finish the fight at any moment. Obviously, like you said, Doctor, I agree with you totally. I think with Kevin Holland, he comes into this fight at 6'3", and he enjoys a couple of inches over Trevin Giles. So it'll be tough to sort of back Trevin on this one. I think obviously with both fighters sort of similar in terms of their approach. I think I'm going to back Kevin on this one, but I think Giles is certainly going to be hard to finish this one. But Holland, obviously, he's done all right overall in his career, and I think I've got back the hard hitting Kevin Holland. I'm going to say a second round TKO for Holland.
I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction. I hate this fight a lot because I'm really big on both guys. I really like both of them. Trevin Giles is super energized by the crowd, so I'm really interested to see how his corner is going to help him out. But I do think he's real skilled. I like him to win by decision. I think he's super emotional. I think he's just a little bit more emotional than Kevin Holland. I think it's the fight of the night, but I got Trevin Giles.
Yeah, I think you bring up some good points there for sure. Last we saw Trevin Giles, or in my opinion, his best impression was against Ryan Spann. And on our podcast, our last episode, Tony actually brought up the low fight IQ of Kevin Holland that you kind of mentioned. Just having some moments in his career that just you have to look back on and question a little bit. I'm going to take Trevin Giles. I think you might catch him early, win by split decision. I'm taking Giles by split decision.
Last I saw he was plus 175 underdog, so I think it's good value as well. He fought Antonio Braganetto a couple of years ago and was taken down, kind of beat up on the ground, and came back and won. So he's fought through adversity. I like him a lot.
I agree. I mean, this is a tough fight. I mean, it's going to be a fun fight. Could be one of the better fights of the night.
Yeah, this scares – honestly, this whole fight card, looking at it all week, scared the hell out of me because there's so many – tough matchup and clash of styles. It's going to be interesting to see, especially, again, Apex Arena been making some fun fight cards. So.
I mean, honestly, with this card, guys, we're reaching for underdogs here at this point because all favorites kind of look good in a sense, you know, so. You guys got to take your shot when you feel it, you know? That's what it comes down
to. Exactly. And next fight's nothing different. Lando Venado and Bobby Green.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty cool fight. I like both fighters. Lando, I feel like he's had the shit into the stick a few times, and, you know, his gas tank's been questionable, but and to me, he's by far the better striker, quicker, very high IQ, good volume. Green, we've seen what he did against his last fight. I mean, he couldn't finish a guy that's been around forever. That was a pretty miserable fight to watch. If you're Green, you thought he would put him away, but he couldn't. I don't like how Green fights with his hands down. That makes me nervous. So I'm Lando for a decision here.
Yeah, I was on a show yesterday talking to Arch Stanton at Absolute Sport Degeneracy, and I was confident in my decision in backing Bobby Green via decision. I only just literally said Bobby Green, but now after a couple more hours of rewatching that tape, thinking, I think I've made an absolutely horrible decision in this one. I think I've got back Lando on this one. I agree with you totally, Slaughter. I think striking department, he's more significant in his striking. He absorbs a lot of strikes as well, Bernata, but as of late, both fighters haven't been on the particular greatest of runs recently. Obviously, we saw Lando a couple of months back. I think he won by decision against Yancy Medeiros. And obviously, you touched upon it earlier, Bobby Green, with his last fight with Clay Guida. I wasn't sort of overly fond of that one myself as well. So it's tough to back both fighters in this one. They haven't been, like I said, on the best forms recently. But like I said, I think Lando edges it in terms of the striking department. I don't think we'll see that. I don't think this will be the most entertaining of fights, but I think I'm going to go for a Bernata by decision.
If I'm not mistaken, they fought before to a draw because Lando not a legal lead. I do think there's some motivation from Green to come in and kind of have a good fight. I think this is really hit or miss, whether it's going to be a great fight or just a really bad one. I want to say Bobby Green by second round TKO.
I
like it. I'm gonna say that the Bobby Green's low hands catch him. I think he's quick enough on his feet to get out of dodge a little bit early in the fight, but I'm taking Lando Bernata by third round KO. So, let's see. Next up, Vicente Luque and Rockhold, Randy Brown.
I got this is going to be a real interesting fight too, because both fighters are very strong, very good striking. I mean, they're good all around MMA games. I tend to lean Luque. He's been more battle tested. He's got crazy knockout power, and he got the crazy black belt that we don't see a whole lot of. So I'm going Luque by sub round 3. I think he's going to get it done in a different fashion here. And that's what I'm sticking with. Luque by sub round 3.
Yeah, obviously, I really enjoy watching Vicente Luque. I just absolutely admire him. He averages a fair couple of strikes of just under 6 per minute, I think, obviously what I've read earlier. He's just so explosive and he's just so aggressive in his punching power, and he's just a whole different level. I think for a guy like Randy, it's a tough one coming into this one. He loves to finish fights. He loves to mix up as well with his striking, his grappling, and his sort of ability on the mat. But I think just by his sheer aggression and his just sheer boxing ability, technically gifted, I'm going to have to back Vicente Luque on this one. Obviously, you went for a submission in the third round, sort of, but I think just based on his sheer striking ability, I think he gets it done by a second round TKO.
Vicente Luque has some heavy hands, but he's fought a lot. He's taken a lot of damage over the course of his career. I could see him taking some damage early and trying to go for too many submissions and just losing by decision because he doesn't. I could see him trying to go for too many submissions and then losing by decision just because he doesn't get a whole lot of stuff going. Randy Brown's plus 170. He's real lanky. I think there's a lot of value there. I think he wins by unanimous decision.
I can see it. Like you mentioned, the length. It's going to make it hard. You see these guys with longer arms, especially now that there's been such a focus on wrist control from the ground. Even a non-dominant position can survive if you can control wrist control. And like you said, long, lanky body, I think that it's going to make it hell on the feet. I'm going to take Randy Brown by split decision. Taking the underdog with, let's see, our first and only female fight of the night. Co-main event, Joanne Calderwood and Jennifer Maya. I think, well, we'll see. I'll start with you, Pat.
Yeah, so JoJo, man, she's always moving forward. She's got great pressure. She controls the center of the cage really well. Uses her lead legs really, really well. Nice front kicks, and I'm not very impressed with Maya. I think she's kind of on the tail end, in my opinion. I'm JoJo here by decision. I think it's the classic women's MMA kind of fight, back and forth, grappling. With Calderwood has the better end of the grappling, and I think she mixes it up and she wins by decision here.
With no disrespect, I'm not overly fond of this fight. I mean, you've got to give some respect to JoJo, though. As an Englishman, I'm surprised you probably hear me say that about a Scottish person. But with JoJo, it's a bit of you got to give her some respect because obviously, I think a month ago, obviously before COVID, she was supposed to face Valentina for the title, or those are in the books. And she literally could have said to Dana, look, I want to wait out and sit out until Valentina's healed and we can get this going. But obviously, she wants one more fight before fighting Valentina. So you've got to respect her in that department. And I agree with you, Slaughter. I think she sort of edges it in every sort of department. I think going forward, I admire Calderwood in terms of her striking and the way she just sort of likes to pick her opponents apart. Obviously, with Joanne, she's... With Jennifer Meyer, I don't know. Like you said, it's hard to sort of back her and going into a fight like Joanne. I think she's coming off of a defeat to Caitlin. I think she's 1-2 in the last three fights, so she's not in the greatest form. And I think with Calderwood, with the title fight potentially looming, I think she's going to have a lot of confidence going into this one. But I don't think we'll see the most entertaining of fights with this one. I think with Calderwood, she'll be able to mix it up. She can take the fights to the ground, but she can also pick Jennifer apart going forward in terms of the striking department. So I'm going to go for Joanne Calderwood by decision in this one.
I have a lot of respect for Joanne Calderwood. I gained a lot of respect for her when she beat Andrea Lee, shout out Atlanta, Texas. I've never been very impressed with Jennifer Maia at all. I'm not really high on her. I think she's built – no, I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect her, but I do think she's built a career on doing just enough to win decisions. Joanne Calderwood, I think she has probably top 3 or 4 Muay Thai in women's UFC. I think she's going to go out there, and I think she's going to give a real good performance, win by decision, because I don't think she's a finisher, but I think she's going to put up a lot of momentum going into a title fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think Joanne Calderwood wins this thing, puts it on the cage, makes it a dirty fight. Like you said, not to disrespect Jennifer Maia in any way or Joanne Calderwood in any way, I think it's going to end up being a relatively slow fight. It's going to go to decision. Joanne Calderwood probably wins unanimous decision. I always like to look at, we talk about number of ways to win the fight. Joanne's got a lot more. Jennifer Maia would really have to catch her. I don't see her catching her in submission. I don't see her knocking her out. Outside of something crazy happening, I see Calderwood by decision. And you look at the lines, it's the same thing. They don't put these things in early. So I'm with Calderwood by unanimous decision. Bringing us to our main event on the first episode of the Battle of the Brand, Derek Brunson versus Edmen Shahbazyan. Take it away, Sean.
Main event. Yeah, so, man, Edmen, it's hard not to go with that trend of his first round KO because that's kind of what he does, right? I mean, the guy's got a great jab. He showed his wrestling ability versus Stewart. He did excellent, in that match, wrestling. So you gotta figure he can handle Brunson's wrestling. Brunson, to me, he just has, explosive power, but he doesn't throw enough volume for me. And Epson with his jabs, his 1-2s, I mean, his hand speed. I'm all over him at round 1 TKO. I think he gets it done. I mean, you have to watch out for his hands or his famous head kick, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I think with no disrespect to Derek, obviously over the years he's become he's fulfilled that gatekeeper role in the middleweight division. So if you're an upcoming prospect, Dana will just obviously think at the top of my head, look, we'll give you Derek Brunson, just get that win over and obviously put you in contention for top 5. No disrespect to Derek Brunson, but it's true. I think with, like you said earlier, I think with Edmen, he's just burst onto the scene. I think this will probably be a good test for him, obviously, to see where he's at in terms of his career. He's only 22. So I think with Edmen, I like the looks of him. He's obviously, like I said, he's 22. He's shown that he can mix up in that department, like you said, touched upon earlier, with the wrestling over Darren Stewart. It's obviously he's made a name for himself with his highlight reel knockouts in the first round. I think all 9 of his finishes have come via all 10 of his finishes have come via first round. Obviously, the 11th come in via split decision, so he gets the fight done early, and it's just his heavy hit, and he likes to mix it up. And I think with Edmen, in terms of striking, I think he's going to be too much for Derek. I think Derek's best bet is to sort of, if we were going to bet Derek, I think his best bet is to obviously try and take the fight to the floor. But obviously, like you said, Edmen's shown his capabilities on the mat, so it's hard to back Derek in this one, and I totally agree. I'm going to go for a Edmen Shahbazyan via first round TKO on this one.
Yep.
I'm not very high on anybody else in the company than Edmen Shahbazyan. I think he's the number one prospect of the whole company. I think he edges out Sean O'Malley a little bit. If he's my lock of the night, I think no chance he loses the fight. I think he gets it done in a little over a minute. And I mean, this guy has some of the fastest hands in the middleweight division. He's choked out Jack Marshman, who is a really tough guy. I think in about 2 years, he fights Israel Adesanya for the belt. Gives one of the best fights UFC's ever seen. I think Shahbazyan wins first round. Is a lock.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love that you even bring that up. The matchup of him and Izzy is awesome to even think about. I would be doing a disservice to my partner, Big Tony, if I don't give Shahbazyan by head kick KO in the first round as my play. So that's what I'm going with. Everything you guys said, I agree. Shahbazyan is an absolute star. We'll see. It'll be fun to see you bring up Sean O'Malley as far as, from a marketing standpoint and ticket sales. Who Dana decides to really back because both of those guys have so much potential. But
and one more thing, I think Shahbazyan has a really hidden advantage in the fact that his coach is also Ronda Rousey's coach, and she's pretty mismanaged. And she's probably one of the most one-dimensional fighters the UFC's ever seen, mixed martial arts ever seen. So I think I can't remember the guy's name, but I think that he's really gonna help Shahbazyan grow even more, like become such a well-developed, well-rounded fighter. I think that's a huge advantage going forward in the future.
Yeah,
I will say the one time we've seen Edmen go into the past the first round, things got a little dicey there. So we don't see much of it, but who knows? I don't think Brunson's the guy to do it. But that's something to look forward to, in his future.
Yeah, if Brunson could find a way to get this thing to the later rounds, even it would give us some insight as to how Shahbazyan will look in those rounds, which I know a lot of people would probably be interested to see because I don't see Izzy being a guy that's easy enough to hit to get out of there in round 1 or 2, unless you really crack him. And if that's the kind of trajectory he's on, that's what you got to plan for. Those are the quality of guys he's going to be fighting. So, look, I mean, I didn't really expect to get this thing done in 30 minutes, but we kind of cruised right through. I think we kept a good pace. This is the goal. We want to keep it short and sweet for everybody. Give our quick take. We're all active in the MMA community, so if you guys want to give a shout out to your Twitter real quick, I know everybody's active out there. So we're on Twitter at @andgambling, Rambling and Gambling, and the Blood, Sweat, and TKOs podcast, and all these guys are nice enough to join us today. So yeah, take it, guys.
Yeah, I want to appreciate you inviting me on, man. I had fun. I hate that I'm sitting here doing this from my laptop because the quality sucks, but we'll get past it the next time around. But follow us at Talking Hands 101. You can find us on Pub Sports Radio. And give my partner a shout at Preston Ekdahl. He's a co-host for our show.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the invitation. Unfortunately, I did have to stay up until 2 a.m. in the morning, but
oh wow,
I'm from the UK, but obviously I enjoyed my time on here. You can follow me on Twitter at EvansJames99, but I also run a professional UFC account by the name of UFC Deluxe on Twitter, so you can find out all of my UFC content on there. But obviously, I did touch upon earlier with the time. I'm not complaining at all. I really appreciate the time. Thank you for having me on. And, it's great to talk to you guys about this weekend's main event and go through the whole card in detail. So, yeah, it'll be good to come on again and talk to you all.
Thanks for making it a priority, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, huge thanks, Garrett. Extend my thank you to Tony as well. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Outmounted MMA. I'm doing polls every day, some analysis, interview fighters all the time. Also, huge shout out to my sponsor, Quantum Crown Daily. You can see I'm wearing the hat, t-shirt. Carrington Wilson in Shreveport, Louisiana, does a great job with his gear. I have a discount code. It's mounted, and you can find it down at his website. It's quantumkd.com. So huge shout out to him. promote him as well as my page. And thanks to Ramon Gambling. Look forward to doing this a lot in the future. Hopefully a weekly thing.
Gotta love
Yeah,
Shreveport,
absolutely.
baby.
Now look, yeah, there we go. There we go. We're holding it down. I got Texas in the back, but Big Tony's holding down Southwest Louisiana. So yeah, we're all over it, guys. I'm excited for this. I think it's going to be fun to kind of just keep track, hold ourselves accountable. I got my, we got our locks and our picks set aside, but finding underdogs and finding reasons to bet or pick guys that maybe you wouldn't think of taking that pick in order to try to get a little edge. I think it'll be fun. A little game to play for a while, and I like to pick guys' brains. And, we respect y'all's opinions and all this stuff. So it's fun to kind of have the minds and get together. So yeah, I look forward to having y'all next time. And anybody out there watching, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks all.